I'm Joe. Some of you may have watched a video we did a couple years ago where I had done top 10 reasons to own a Porsche 987 in 2020. Well, it's 4 years later, and this is actually the top 10 reasons to own a Porsche 981 GT4 in 2024. So a little preamble there. I actually loved my 987. I thought it was gorgeous. I thought it sounded great. After a couple years with it, I started to think about what type of car I wanted to have in a more long-term capacity. Never thought I'd be lucky enough to find something like this. That's quite a story in itself, but in the end I was. Found this car a couple months ago. I think I put about 500 miles on it since, and it's been great. So yeah, let's go through the top 10 reasons why this car was so appealing to me and why someone else might be interested in such a car. I think firstly, number 10 would be the overall look. Still the same proportions as a Porsche Cayman, but a little bit more angular, a little bit more built up in GT4 guise. The 981 itself is a beautiful design. This adds a little bit of aero, a little more of an aggressive look. This specific car, the previous owner, with some rather great taste, had chosen forged wheels for it, which looked really good on the car, complemented very well. I think another reason that the 981 appealed to me is I always liked the quasi dragon eye taillights. Plays up a little bit to the fact that it's a Cayman, so they are a little bit crocodilian-like. I just think it works overall as a package. Number 9 would be steering. Continuation, like any Porsche, they all tend to have great steering. Much was said when this generation was introduced about the transition from hydraulic to electric power steering. Interestingly enough, Porsche really does do electric power steering better than any other car I've driven. If you didn't know the rack was electrically boosted, you'd never know. It's better than most car companies' hydraulic units. There is still camber feel, road feel. It's pretty remarkable. You get razor sharp precision as well. Still have that feeling of the steering wheel being alive in your hands, which I absolutely love. Number 8, I would say, would be the transmission. The 981 GT4s were available in manual only. I believe all of them came out of the factory with the GT3's short shift kit, so you get this awesome snick tiny little travel shifter. And as we pull out from a stop here, you can kind of tell, even if you can't see it, it's incredibly short throws. Makes the car very, very easy to maneuver in town. That'll probably feed into number 7. The lightweight flywheel that these engines have also make it very, very easy to do a match. That was a match rev downshift without thinking about it. I found that literally within a few minutes, I could do perfect match rev downshifts in this car. Between the sniff shifter, the lack of reciprocating mass on the flywheel, it makes it very easy to match your shift timing to your RPMs. Number 6, I have to say it's the carbon fiber bucket seats. They are a love them or hate them feature. I made a point of sitting in a couple cars that had them because it is a very personal decision. I think that whether you love them or hate them very much correlates to whether you fit them or not. If you fit them, they tend to fit you really well. They are not a cushy, luxurious seat. As you can tell, it's not thickly padded in any way, but what they do is firstly hold you in a very alert driving position. They also distribute your weight really well. So it's not like your entire body weight is literally in the seat of your pants and a couple square inches of surface area. you actually feel the support everywhere, including in your shoulders, which makes it much less fatiguing, at least for me, on longer drives. Number 5, I'd say throttle calibration, which feeds into some of the things that I've mentioned before. Again, it's really easy to downshift. You get razor sharp responses. Really makes the car feel alive and alert at all times. I think it's one of those details that you don't necessarily notice unless you've driven a car that's done it well. This car gives you the feeling that there may have been an entire team of engineers that made a specific project of calibrating exactly how much force the throttle pedal should need in order to generate a certain response out of the engine. Again, I think that's something that Porsche does well in all of its cars. It really shines in one of the GT cars just because they know that they've got a much more specific type of customer, and so they can calibrate it a little bit more aggressively. Number 4, probably the ceramic composite brakes. Again, once you get used to them, it's another of those things that Porsche does exceedingly well. You don't even need to think about them. What I have found is I do think about them when I get in another car and I have to press the brake pedal a lot harder to generate the same response. You adapt to these pretty well because I think they're very progressive. They do begin slowing the car immediately when you touch them, but not in a way that makes it feel abrupt or difficult to modulate. More in a way that once you get in any other car, they feel like they have weak brakes in comparison. It's a combination of the materials and just the fact that these are huge brake rotors, like many other components on this GT4. They're essentially right off the parts bin from the GT3, and the Cayman being a slightly smaller, lighter car than the GT3 benefits from them even a little bit more. It gives you this feeling that a lot of the components are overbuilt for the use case. I think we're up to number 4. I'd say ergonomics, another thing Porsche does well. The controls of the car, for the most part, disappear in your hands. You acclimate to them really quickly, and after that point, you really don't need to think about them, exactly how it should be. The steering wheel has no buttons and no controls. It's part of the ethos that the car is a driving machine, and that's what it's all about. Yes, it does have Bluetooth, it has other convenience features, but you won't find a volume knob. In fact, especially in this car, which does have an exhaust on it, you're not really listening to the stereo that much. I'll do it on low-speed cruises, but at highway speeds, the car is loud enough that A, you can't really hear your music that well, and B, you don't really want to. We're coming to that. My number 1 is going to kind of be a bit of a reveal there. I would say number 3, the reasons to own this car would be the suspension calibration. Again, it's quite possible that none of these are big surprises. A Porsche GT car is designed to be pretty hardcore, so you expect the suspension is going to be something that they spend a lot of time engineering. We're right now in just the default mode of the suspension on some pretty bumpy roads. Probably tell I'm not being jostled around, I'm just calmly driving. There's quite a few other cars. I do very often just drive with them in the suspension in the firm mode because I like it so much. I think both settings work really well for the use of the car. I'm not one of those people who would only put it in firm when on a racetrack. I wanted this kind of a car specifically because of its incredible road feel, incredible sense of control. Number 2, and I am having to work a little bit harder here because my number 1 really is special. I'd say the overall personality of the car, which is a synthesis of a few things, including engine tuning. It has a surprising amount of attitude. A little bit of engine tuning, a little bit just having giant tires, giant wheels, gives it a very kind of sharp teeth feel. Yet for a beast that is bred to be in attack mode all the time, the car is remarkably easy to drive and easy to live with. They really struck a nice balance of preserving some civility, which just makes it feel that much more sophisticated. And I'd say the number one reason to own a 981 GT4 is sound. This is a sound and feel car. The engine is a 3.8 liter, slightly modified out of the 911 Carrera S. What they do to this car, I don't know. It absolutely sounds phenomenal.
Oh my God.
It rumbles and snarls and makes all kinds of like obnoxious yet very playful noises, and at any RPM it just sounds incredible. You have to learn to tickle the throttle when you're around town, as we are right now, but it still sounds good. And I find that even at low speeds in cold weather, I'm very often driving around with the windows open, simply because I love to hear the car. Can't really play here. I'll see if I can find a road where we can do a quick merge or something like that. But for sound and feel, these cars are absolutely untouchable. Yes, it's quick. No, it is not the quickest car you could have for the money. That's not really the point of a Porsche GT car. Not even, I'd say, like a GT3. Yes, they are incredibly fast, but they're built to be all-around athletic cars. And you're getting that balance with any of them. The Cayman GT4, really good job of applying that formula to a mid-engine car that benefits from all the other dynamic capabilities of being mid-engine. There we go. Just a little taste of what it sounds like. And I'm smiling again because I can't drive this car and not smile. It feels like a joy pump. It has so much attitude. It sounds and feels so good, and in virtually any circumstance. Probably one of the easiest things to see is just the way like a person reacts when driving this car. So much charm, so much personality. It's the type of car that really does make you always want to take the longest possible road home. Also the type of car that makes you groan when a station wagon pulls out in front of you. But yeah, hopefully this was informative. I'd say overall, the 981, despite the prices that it has in the market today, still drives far better than you would think, even for the price it does command. It's a very special car, and it never lets you forget that.